Jersey Republican Congressman Leonard Lance. We're so glad you're with us because you are one who has been, Congressman, opposed to the majority of your Republican colleagues on this one. Are you still a solid no on this?
I am a no, Poppy.
Okay, so what does it take to get you to a yes?
I believe the amendments have been offered and there will be no further amendments. And on the bill that we'll be debating today and voting on today, I am a no.
You are a no now. You will be a no if and when this vote happens later today. Congressman, the bill has been changed. You've actually been a no for a while, but over the last day, there's been something else added to it, which is the removal of a promise to cover essential health benefits, things like maternity care, mental health care, substance abuse care. That was taken out. Did that make this bill even worse in your mind?
I do not think that that is a good amendment, and I suppose that was added to move in the direction of the Freedom Caucus. I'm in what is known as the Tuesday group, and I do not think that that is a good amendment.
Did it make it worse?
I would have preferred that that amendment not be put in the bill. I was a no because I don't think this will lower insurance premiums, and I was greatly concerned about the CBO score. Having said that, Poppy and John, I do think the Democrats should come to the table on this issue, and they've not done so far. I think it's a responsibility for us to work together in a bipartisan capacity.
Yeah, again, I think a bipartisan discussion on health care where everyone comes to the table is something that'd be wonderful. I mean, I think Democrats would say the Republicans did not do that in a constructive way over the last 7 years, but you guys maybe will work that out going forward. I think what Poppy and I were asking, what we're pressing on the idea of essential benefits is that with all this negotiation and back and forth, it seems that this bill is getting further away from you rather than getting closer to where you are.
That is correct.
So on that point, I mean, one thing that you've said, and you just said it last night, that you wish that Part 3 of what, the American people have been promised from Republicans, Part 3 of all of this, were rolled into Part 1. The issue is, and it'd be more palatable to you then, the issue is you need Democrats on board to help with Part 3. So is that just wishful thinking here?
That's my point, Poppy. I think that we should suggest to our Democratic colleagues that they should come to the table. I'm fully aware that what I call Part 3 would require Democratic support, but I think on major issues confronting the nation, both parties should sit at the table, and I urge our Democratic colleagues to do so. And I think that President Trump and Speaker Ryan are trying to do that, but it's virtually impossible. And I hope after today that the Democrats will come to the table.
We are going to talk to House Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer in our next hour. We will ask him what it will take to get him to the table. Rest assured, Congressman, we're on that. Let me ask you about the House Freedom Caucus. This is a group that I think feels very differently than you do, and the Tuesday group feels about the bill. Are they helping, in your mind, the legislative process? What do you think their role is? How do you feel about them in this Congress?
I believe that each of us represents his or her district, and I'm not going to criticize colleagues, and quite a few of my colleagues who are in the Freedom Caucus are friends of mine. They are representing their districts, I believe, and I try to represent my district to the best of my ability. And in my district, this bill is overwhelmingly unpopular in the telephone calls we have received, the emails we have received, and of course New Jersey was one of the states that expanded Medicaid.
We have this ad that's running in your district right now. Here's a little bit of it.
What Congressman Lance promised. Tell Leonard Lance, don't fall for fake repeal. Vote no on Ryan Care and get rid of Obamacare for good.
I mean, 2018 not a shoo-in for you, but what will you say, Congressman, if this fails and you go back to your constituents? Many of them who voted for the president, who ran largely on this, on a promise to, on day one, repeal and replace Obamacare. What do you say to them?
I have campaigned consistently on replacing Obamacare, and I believe that my views represent the views of my constituents. Donald Trump, President Trump, whom I respect, came close in our district. I think he was shy by about 3,500 votes, but I believe that my views are the views of the overwhelming majority of the residents of our district, and I expect that President Trump will try to continue to work on this issue. And then there are other major issues that confront us, including tax reform, for example, and perhaps an infrastructure bill, and we should be involved in those issues as soon as possible.
Congressman, do you think would you rather this bill not come to the floor today for a vote? Do you sort of hope that over the next few hours, the Speaker and the Majority Leader in your party, they pull this bill?
That is their decision. I'm not in leadership, and I will vote my conscience if it comes to the floor, and if it doesn't come to the floor, of course, we move forward in other areas, but that is a decision that will be made by our leadership. And I want to indicate I am a strong supporter of Speaker Ryan. He's in a very difficult situation. I was pleased to vote for him for Speaker, and I think he's doing a fine job.
I get that you don't want to criticize your colleagues, but at the same time, you've been very vocal in your willingness to vote against the majority of them on this one. You say Paul Ryan's doing a very good job. Are you, in essence, saying that more of the blame, if this fails, then goes to the President and the White House?
No, absolutely not. I think that this is a work in progress, and I would hope that our Democratic colleagues would come to the table, because after all, it is they who enacted this legislation. And Poppy, the exchanges are in great difficulty, and in 1/3 of the counties in this country, rural counties, there is only one insurer, and I think the Democrats have a responsibility to come to the table to work with President Trump, to work with Speaker Ryan, and to work with the majority here on Capitol Hill.
Congressman, last question. Is this bill going to pass today?
I do not know, John. I'm not on the whip team, and I'm not counting heads. I've indicated where I stand on this issue.
Our latest whip count shows 27 no's, 4 leaning no. That would be 31 opposed if it goes that way.
Congressman Leonard Lance, thanks so much for being with us. You have a long day ahead of you. Appreciate it.